Walden Books was a mall-based bookstore chain that opened in 1933 and closed in 2011. Thank you for your suggestion. On March 4, 1933, Lawrence Hoyt and Melvin Kafka opened a rental library within a leased space inside a Bridgeport, Connecticut department store under the name Walden Book Company. As the Great Depression raged and forced banks to close their doors, Lawrence Hoyt and Melvin Kafka bravely founded a company in Bridgeport, one they believed would help people cope with the effects of the Depression. Specifically, Hoyt and Kafka's new company lent popular books for 3 cents a day, saving people the cost of purchasing. Since most people needed some release and entertainment during that time, Hoyt and Kafka's book rental libraries seemed to be a proposition that could not lose. Hoyt, who was a former sales manager for Simon & Schuster, was no stranger to the publishing and bookselling industry. Kafka and Hoyt opened several rental libraries within major department stores in the Northeast, beginning with Reed's in Bridgeport, Filene's in Boston, and G. Fox department stores in Hartford. As interest grew, the partners expanded and dozens of rental libraries sprouted throughout city shopping districts on the East Coast. The Walden Book Company was named for Henry David Thoreau's Walden, a meditation on simple living in natural surroundings. By 1948, there were 250 rental libraries doing a brisk business, as well as many leased book departments and stores selling books. In the early 1950s, low-cost paperback books became the rage. Publishers able to produce in mass quantities could afford to sell paperbacks for as little as 25 cents apiece. In turn, demand mushroomed, and Hoyt and Kafka considered converting their rental libraries to retail outlets. At this point, Melvin Kafka decided he was ready to step aside and retire. He sold his half of the company to his partner Hoyt, who then charged full speed ahead with changing the empire. By 1960, Walden's leased book departments numbered 150 throughout the United States, in addition to its hundreds of rental libraries. In 1962, the company went forward with its retail plans and opened the Walden Bookstore in the Northway Mall in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The flagship Walden Books turned out to be the significant departure for Hoyt and the company in two ways. First, focus was on selling rather than renting or loaning books, and second, the outlet was located in a suburban area mall, signaling a move away from the downtown shopping districts, which had always been Walden's bread and butter. By 1969, Walden Books had opened 53 retail stores and maintained 71 leased outlets in major department stores, bringing in sales of $4.4 million. The company's phenomenal success brought the attention of larger companies, and Walden was acquired by Carter Hawley Hale, a retail conglomerate based in Los Angeles. Following in his father's footsteps, Russell L. Hoyt became CEO, while Hoyt Sr. maintained his role as chairman of the board. The 1970s were a time of extraordinary growth for Walden Books, with new stores opening around the country at a rate of 1 per week. With stores in 44 states, Walden Books had become a force to be reckoned with in the book-selling industry. In 1980 alone, a stunning 90 new bookstores were opened. The opening of a new bookstore in Burlington, Vermont the following year brought Walden Books its 735th store, and two other significant milestones. First, as the only national bookseller with stores in every U.S. state, and second, the industry's first centralized warehouse linked by a computerized cash register system to each of Walden Books' retail outlets for ease and inventory control, ordering, and sales reporting. Celebrating its 50th anniversary in 1983, Walden's was operating 830 stores nationwide and was continuing to thrive. However, during this heavy time of corporate takeovers, Walden became once again drawn into a leveraged buyout fray. In 1984, Walden Books itself was acquired by Kmart after Carter Hawley Hales needed to get cash to defend itself from a hostile takeover attempt. At that time, Walden Books was the largest retail bookstore chain. Under Kmart's ownership, Walden attempted to expand and diversify its business. Under the leadership of Kmart, Walden Books continued to expand. After years of limited proprietary publishing from the marketing department, the company officially established its own imprint, Longmeadow Press, in 1984. The first Walden Books and More outlet opened in 1985 along with the launch of a new full-service mini bookstore called Reader's Market within Kmart stores. The 1000th Walden store was opened in 1986, the year the company purchased Washington, D.C.'s historic Globe bookstore. The following year, Walden Books acquired the Canadian chain of Kohl's bookstores and also introduced Waldensoftware and Walden Kids retail outlets. A new motto, Walden Books, Your Guide to Great Reading, was coined, and in March of 1990, the company launched its Preferred Reader program, the first of its kind. This frequent buyer club charged a small annual fee and rewarded patrons with points for every purchase, a 10% discount on all merchandise, and $5 certificates for every $100 spent. Within months, Walden Books had signed up 1 million members, and by the end of the year had approached the 5 million mark. Walden Books found itself in tough times as mall-based stores accounted for only 20% of the book-selling industry. In response, the company initiated another two firsts in 1992, the debut of its combination Walden Books Walden Kids store, as well as another superstore called Bassett Bookshops. In October of 1992, Walden's book parent company, Kmart, purchased Borders Books and Music, another growing bookstore chain, though both Walden Books and Borders were to be operated as separate divisions of Kmart. By 1994, Walden Books had targeted 187 underperforming stores of its 1,100 for closure. Of these, 74 ended business in 1994, and another 45 or so were slated to close in 1995. In May of 1994, Walden's Books, Borders Books and Music, and Planet Music, Inc. formed their own company called Borders Group, Inc., and became the second largest book retailer in the United States with more units, though lower sales, than leader Barnes & Noble. Walden Books seemed to benefit from the adoption of Borders systems. They began paring off unprofitable stores, and by 1997 the chain was down to fewer than 1,000 locations, and by 2000 it was down to 869 stores. In 2002, 53 Walden's Books stores were closed, giving the chain a total of 778 locations at year-end. The unit's total sales were down to $852 million, or about a quarter of Borders Group's consolidated revenues. A Walden Books branded internet site was introduced in 2002. It was managed by Amazon.com, Inc., Borders Group online partner. In 2004, Borders Group began converting Walden's Books locations into Borders Express concept. About 36 stores made the change the first year, followed by another 100 in 2005. The Borders Express stores were bigger than a traditional Walden's Books, but smaller than the Borders superstores, and they added movies and music products selection as well. By 2005, the sales for Walden's Books specialty retail store segment was down to about $745 million, or about 18% of Borders Group's consolidated revenues. The units had more than 675 mall-based stores, plus 800 seasonal kiosks. It also operated 39 Borders outlet locations and 18 airport stores under the Borders brand. Walden Books' fortunes reflected a shift in traffic from malls and independent booksellers to superstores. Borders Group, in an attempt to increase profits and lower the overall expense of their Walden Books brand, also announced that it was downsizing the Walden Books chain to respond to the current competitive environment. In January of 2010, 200 stores, almost two-thirds of the total, were closed. On July 18, 2011, Borders Group filed for liquidation to close all of its remaining Walden Books and other stores. The liquidation commenced on July 22, 2011. Thank you for watching. If you like this content, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Thanks.